The definition of social stratification is a hierarchical arrangement based on control of basic resources. An example of this is people who are ranked according to their income. Some of the influences on stratification that we will include are income, wealth, schooling, ancestry, and religion. And we will also touch on some of the effects of stratification, including house size and shopping.
The first influence of social stratification is income. Now, income has a direct bearing on social class because the higher levels of income have more opportunities and better ones. The same opportunities that the higher level experience, the lower level does not, because they cannot afford it. An example of this would be, let's say that two families have a son that is interested in basketball, one being from a lower level of income and the other from a higher level of income. When the basketball season isn't in session, both boys are still going to want to play basketball. The difference is the higher level of income son is going to play in an organized sport. He's going to go play in A or something like that. They will have a coach, and they will have practices, and they will learn the fundamentals of basketball the way they are supposed to. They will travel statewide, sometimes even nationwide, to play against teams that will improve their skill level. Whereas the lower level of income will not have the same opportunity, and they will most likely be playing on the streets. Therefore, these are the people that they will be acquainted with. They will learn skills the wrong way, and they will not get the fundamentals that they need to properly succeed in a game of basketball.
Wealth can be measured by possessions that you own or possibly owe. The upper class typically owns their house, which is usually a large, very nice house, and they may also own other houses, maybe in another state, or maybe a house on a lake, like a cottage or something like that. And they'll also own their vehicles, which are usually very nice vehicles. And they may also own recreational vehicles like snowmobiles or four-wheelers or things along those lines. And also things that could fall under that category could be television or appliances. The lower class typically does not own their house. They are usually renting their house or living in an apartment. And they usually have a much lower quality vehicle, some that need repairs all the time or are falling apart, and that is if they even own a vehicle.
Occupational questions. Typically, lawyers and doctors are considered to be respected. Usually they make good money, they went to school for a long time, and we go to them for advice and opinions. Whereas garbage men and waitresses, we do not look at these as well respected. We look at these as people who maybe didn't go to college or maybe didn't even finish high school. They're in low wages and they make it difficult to pay bills. Occupational prestige can be seen in many different forms, such as take Alpena Community College, for example. We have instructors here at Alpena, and then we have janitors here at Alpena. Obviously, instructors are usually thought about and as highly respected, whereas the janitors are not. But then take someone like the president of the college, and we think them even higher than the instructors.
Stratification can be seen in the differences between private schools and public schools. Typically, private schools have all the necessary supplies that is needed to teach classes properly, such as textbooks and libraries, computer labs, science labs, things like that keep students interested in what they're learning. And as a result of this, students typically receive a higher level of achievement because they're involved and interested in what they're doing. And a lot of the times, private schools have smaller class sizes, which means that students get a more one-on-one interaction with their teachers. In public schools, some of them may lack some of the necessary supplies, such as having an adequate amount of books, or adequate amount of lab equipment, or having safe playground structures and things like that. And as a result of this, students do not achieve as high of an education.
This slide is just to demonstrate the schools in Alpena. The private school, Emmanuel Lutheran, is going to be filled with kids from a higher social class, because a private school cost money. Whereas the public school is free to anybody, so you're going to get a mix of all different classes in this, but usually the upper class goes to a private school. To get a better education, because the school has funding from parents who send their kids there, so they have more means to provide for the students, such as they might have the latest in technology, such as computers and TVs and software, and they will have the best of the best, because they have more money to do so. Whereas the public school cannot afford to do things like that. So they are stuck with the basics and what they get for state funding.
Your level of schooling plays a big role in how people view you in society. People who have earned a doctorate degree are typically seen as being very smart and intelligent. When you're meeting someone for the first time and they're introduced, oh, this is so-and-so, you might base your judgment of them based on their appearance. And then they say, oh, this is Dr. so-and-so. Then your views might change more. Oh, they're a doctor. Oh, they're seen as being more reliable and intelligent and more trustworthy. And this is typically just because they have doctor at the beginning of their name. Whereas people who have earned just a high school diploma might be seen as being more lazy because they decided to quit schooling after they completed high school. But it could also be that they couldn't afford to go to college, but then they're still seen as lower class because they're poor. They couldn't afford going to college. And they could also be seen as being more immature than other people their age who have continued with their schooling. And also they obviously have a lower skill level.
Ancestry plays a huge part in social stratification. Originally, the English were the first to come to America, and they had everything. They had the biggest houses, and they had the biggest ships, whereas the Polish and the Irish didn't own anything and were first to be laborers for the English, therefore separating them into classes way back then. And what's weird to think is that most of these classes still hold true today, that the English are usually the upper class, and the Polish and the Irish are typically the lower class. There's exceptions to all of this. Obviously, not every Polish person in the world is going to be lower class, but as a whole, they are generally lower than the English.
Stratification in religion can be seen through which church you attend. These 4 churches are all in Alpena. The Trinity Episcopal Church is seen as an upper-class church. Grace Lutheran is seen as a middle-class church. St. Anne's Catholic Church is seen as a lower middle-class church, and St. Mary's Catholic Church is seen as a lower-class church.
A good indicator of social class is your house size. Now in this slide, these are pictures of houses from Alpena, and you can easily tell which one has a higher standing in social class by looking at their house. Obviously, the upper class's house is a lot nicer and prettier than the one of the middle class.
Stratification can be seen through the products that people purchase. Pictured here are the nutritional facts of extra lean meat and regular meat. The extra lean meat is $5.28 per pound, and the regular meat is $2.38 per pound. If you look at the serving size, it is exactly the same for both packages. Looking at the total fat, for the extra lean meat, it's 4 grams of fat, which is 6% of your daily value. Then looking at the regular meat, the total fat is 22 grams, which is 34% of your daily value. That's over 5 times the amount of fat in the regular meat compared to the extra lean meat. So really all you're paying for is more fat rather than actual meat.